Sir Topham Hatt stood sat in his office listening to the noise outside. The passengers were angry. The station master came in. "There's trouble in the shed, sir. Henry is sulking, there's no train, and the passengers are saying that it's a bad railway." "Indeed," said Sir Topham Hatt. "We cannot allow that." There he found Gordon, James, and Henry looking very cross. "Come along, Henry," said Sir Topham Hatt. "It's time your train is ready." "Henry is not going," said Gordon. "We won't shunt like common tank engines. That was Thomas's job. We are important tender engines. You fetch our coaches and we'll pull them. Tender engines don't shunt." "We'll see about that," said Sir Topham Hatt. "No engine on my railway is to do important jobs shouldn't be refusing to do important jobs on my orders." Then he hurried away to find Edward. "The yard isn't the same since Thomas left to run his branch line," he thought sadly. Later that day, he saw Edward shunting freight cars. "Lead those freight cars, please, Edward," said Sir Topham Hatt. "I want for you to go shunt some coaches for the other engines." "Thank you, sir. That would be a nice change." "That's a good engine." "Now off you go, then." Soon, Edward found coaches for the 3 engines, and that day the trains ran as usual. Later that day, Edward felt unhappy. Gordon came by wishing rudely at him. "Bless me," said Sir Topham Hatt. "What a noise!" "They all hiss me, sir," answered Edward. "They say tender engines don't shut, and last night they say I have great wheels." "I haven't, do I, sir?" "No, Edward," said Sir Topham Hatt. "You have nice wheels, and I'm proud of you. Tender engines do shunt. But all the same, we do need another tank engine here." And so he went to a workshop and he showed them all sorts of engines. At last, it saw a smart little green engine with 4 wheels. That's the one, he said. If I choose you, will you work hard? Oh, yes, sir. Please, sir, said Percy. He said to the engine. That's a good engine. I will call you Percy. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, said Percy. And so, Sir Topham Hatt brought Percy back to the yard. Edward, he called, here's Percy. Will you show him everything? Percy soon knew what he had to do. And they all had a very happy afternoon. Then, Henry came wheezing out of the shed. Wheeze! Percy. Henry jumped and ran back to the shed. How beautifully you wheezed him, laughed Edward. I can't wheeze like that. Oh, said Percy, that's nothing. You should hear about them in the workshop. You have to wheeze yourself loudly in order to make yourself heard. At last, Thomas arrived. Sir Topham Hatt sent me. I expect he wants help, said Edward. Shh, shh. Here he comes, said Edward. Well done, Thomas, said Sir Topham Hatt. You've been quick. Listen, Henry, Gordon, and James are sulking. They say they wouldn't shunt like common tank engines. So I decided to shut them up, and I want you all to run the line for a while. Common tank engines indeed, snorted Thomas. We'll show them. And Percy will help too, he said. Oh, yes, sir. Thank you, sir, said Percy. And so, Edward and Thomas had and so Edward and Thomas worked the main line, greeting each other as they passed by. Percy went along the branch line. Thomas was anxious about Annie and Clarabelle, but both driver, fireman, conductor promised to take care of him. There were fewer trains, but the passengers didn't mind. They knew that the 3 other engines were having a lesson. Gordon, James, and Henry were cold, lonely, and miserable. They wished now that they hadn't been so silly.